Hi everybody, welcome back to Wild Boar Cycling. This is John.
And that's Brian.
So we're here today. It seems like we got some more parts stuff to talk about. You know how for years I was talking about chain waxing and
Yeah, okay.
And then what did we? Oh, tubeless tires.
Tubeless tires, yeah.
What have I've been telling you that your handlebars are too wide.
You've been telling me that for quite a while.
So when you started cycling, how did you figure out what size handlebars supposed to have?
I just used what was on the bike, folks, just like everybody out there in YouTube land.
So as we know, especially because UCI is now making rules,
right,
keeping them from going too narrow. Narrow is arrow, as they say. And I'm saying your handlebars are too wide. What are you running on your checkpoint here?
These are 42s, and so that's what we got in the box today to maybe mitigate some of those things.
You got some narrow handlebars?
Yeah.
You got some narrow handlebars?
Okay, so sit back and enjoy. Well, Brian, after taking years of abuse about how wide my handlebars are, I decided to go with something just a little bit narrower. And I'm seeing a lot of talk out there on the internet about flared handlebars, and especially for gravel, Brian. Yeah. So I was able to get these Zipp carbon flared handlebars that are gonna work on my checkpoint.
So these are the SL-70 XPLR, right?
Yeah.
In a 40 centimeter.
Right, so they're 40 across the top and a 10-degree flare out and 115 millimeter drop on them. So let's open this up and take a look at them. How about that?
Sounds good.
Wow, look at these. 40 centimeters in between the tops and just a 10-degree flare. Now, I've seen a lot of flares out there, Brian, that are a lot more extreme than this, and I chose not to do that. But one of the reasons why I went with the Zipp handlebars is they're specially made for SRAM AXS. So if you come in here close and look at that groove where it comes out of your grips, I've got this big lump on my checkpoint that doesn't have this particular feature. So I'm looking forward to being able to tuck that brake cable in here. So it's going to be a lot smoother look. So once you come over here, Brian, on the other side of the camera, and then let's talk about why people might want to have a flared handlebar, especially on their gravel bikes. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Cool. So, Brian, you're the engineer. Well, why do people really want to go with a flared handlebars? I mean, a lot of the talking heads out there on the internet are saying about how these are a real improvement. So, what do you see?
Well, I mean, so I think the first thing to talk about is why go narrower,
right? Okay.
Which is that, you know, if you think about your body, because your body is the most air drag of the whole system. If your arms are wide, you're now catching air.
Correct.
And so the more you bring your hands in, the more aerodynamic you can get. But there's a trade-off. Like everything in cycling, it's a trade-off.
True.
Gains on one thing is going to cost somewhere else. So narrow handlebars means you have less leverage.
And it's going to become twitchier, folks. It is. I mean, that's what happens when you're narrow.
You know, and twitchy is good for certain things, but not off-road.
No, but not off-road. You're right. And I think this is where the flare comes into play, right?
Yeah, and so you get the narrow, because you're usually on your hoods, you know, up here, so you get the narrower there. But when you like doing a downhill descent, off-road, you can come to the drops, and then you get that wide stance again, to get more leverage.
Perfect. Yeah, they get better leverage. Now, Brian, you mentioned something the other day about, you know, I noticed your hoods are out a little bit, and you talked about comfort and hand position. What do you know about that?
I mean, so, you know, you spend 8 hours on a bike, ergonomics is super key, and wrist pain can be a problem for a lot of people, and most of our bodies don't want to be these straight angles. Most people want to have a little natural turn in. So what ends up happening when you have this flare is when you put the hoods on, the shifters on, they kind of kick in a little bit, right? Which is what I do to mine anyway, to give a little inward turn, because I prefer my wrists to be turned a little bit. And so with these flare, it naturally makes the hoods in that kind of turned in position without being able to, without missing the levers down here. Like mine, the levers are hard to get from the drops, but I don't really ever ride on the drops, so that doesn't really affect me. But here, you get that inward twist, but also your levers are still accessible from the drops.
And you know, Brian, I've bounced a couple times now out mountain biking, so my shoulder is not in the best shape. But I understand too, by having this little narrow in the comfort of your hand, you know, it's also going to protect your shoulder joints too.
It should. It should. If you get the right angle for your body,
right,
it should line everything up in a nice way. There's another thing about that hand position, which is when you're, I don't know if I can see this. If these weren't kicked out, if these were under here and you're on the drops,
right,
they're in the way.
You're hitting. I've noticed that on my drops.
Yeah, so you're in the way. And so one of the nice things about these gentle drops is that you can reach here without being in the way. You get a much more natural position.
And also that's where your leverage is going to come from.
Right.
If you need to be down there and pulling up on that.
Yeah.
Great. I guess there's a couple other things about it too. You know, being a little bit wider down here.
Yep.
And this is not my jam. But I've seen people, they're more able to put like bags on the front here because it's a little
yeah, I mean, everybody likes that. I mean, I don't have one. You don't have one. But everybody likes that that burrito bag or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And when you start going narrower, you lose that space. But having the flare gives you some of that space back.
Cool. So I guess to sum this up is the versatility.
Yeah.
You know, super lightweight. Holy cow. You know.
Yeah, these are the under 200 grams. They gotta be.
167 grams. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, I can't remember the exact number.
Yeah.
I'll put that in a note here.
These are light.
They're super lightweight and just great construction. I can't wait to see what they're like.
You know, I'm looking at something else on these that looks really, and so, you know, when I'm doing long rides, I like to switch up my hand position.
Yep.
And the tops tends to be a nice resting one, but for me, they're straight across.
Okay.
And it's not the best for my wrists.
Oh, look.
These have a little bit of an angle in for them that just kind of fits a little better. That might be really nice. I know you don't spend a whole lot of time on your tops, but that seems like if you are someone that spends time on the tops, these might, I mean, a little more might be better, but that's sometimes just a little sweep back there. It's kind of cool.
Great. Okay, so Brian, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some time. I'm going to get this set up here on my checkpoint. And what I'm going to do is I'll go out for a ride. And I know you got stuff to do today, so I'm going to send you on your way. But after I get this all buttoned up, folks, I'm going to come back and maybe shoot some video while I'm out riding so you can see actually how they work. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Great. Okay. Let's check this out on a ride. Well, hey folks, I just came back from a ride, shakedown ride for these new bars I put on my checkpoint, and I'll drop over here and show you what that turned out like. I'm really pleased with it. If you can see from the sides here, I kind of angled the brake hoods at the same angle as the flare. But a couple things that I saw when I was out there today, I took it out on one of our local bike paths, nothing too rowdy at all. I just wanted to see how it felt on a shakedown ride, and here's some video of that. What I noticed was my shoulders immediately, I mean, were very, very comfortable the entire time. I changed my hand positions frequently just to see what that would feel like. I ducked into some loose stuff in a corner, and it performed like it's supposed to. I immediately noticed that narrower handlebar. I think that's why my shoulders were a little happier today than they have been on previous rides. So cool video here. Nothing too rowdy, but wow, I think this is a good change for this bike. And I think if you're out there doing gravel rides or doing something a little more adventure, those flares are really going to help you. I felt stable in the corners when I dropped down on the drops. Good stuff. All right, folks. Well, I hope this is helpful. If it was, make sure you do that. All that standard YouTube stuff like, subscribe, and notify, so you know when our next production comes available. And of course, hey, what you got to do now is go out and ride, have some fun, get dusty, and keep that rubber side down.